There are a lot of starter videos out there, but none that look at the repair from a holistic point of view. Today we're going to look at the issues that cause you to need a starter motor. We'll look at how it works and the time and process it takes to replace it. Before the end, we will talk about the cost of parts, labor, and if it's a DIY project for you. Here at IC3, we lay out the issue, the cause, the correction, and the cost, and we let you decide. Over the last 100 years, mechanics have seen many issues on starters since they were introduced in the early 1910s. With a battery and vehicle wiring in proper working order, here are some of the most common issues. To understand the issues that cause starter failures, we need to know how it works and its main components.
Pressing the starting motor switch connects the starting motor to the flywheel mechanically. And when electric current from the battery passes through the starting motor, it causes the armature to rotate. The rotating armature performs the mechanical work of cranking the engine. The armature is able to do this because it is geared to the flywheel by a pinion gear.
Components that make up your starter will certainly look different but share the same functions. Let's briefly talk about each one. As pointed out in the previous clip, the battery power flows to the starter solenoid. The solenoid is comprised of a circular coil of wires and has a rod and hook assembly positioned inside of it. The solenoid also contains a contact switch. When the contact switch is closed, it energizes the field coil. The coil has enough electromagnetic force to move the rod and hook assembly and drive the pinion gear into the flywheel. Also, when the solenoid switch is closed, it allows battery voltage to pass to the brushes, armature, and stator, causing the starter to turn. The armature and stator are made of copper windings around iron cores. The brushes are made from copper and carbon alloy. Now that we know how the starter and its components function, let's tie the previous failure issues to the cause. If the car battery and wiring are in proper working order, and your starter does nothing, it's likely a starter solenoid. When power flows to the solenoid, it normally closes a set of contacts, allowing voltage to continue to the brushes, armature, and stator. If the circuit is defective, power can't flow, preventing the starter from turning. You hear a click from the pinion gear being forced into the flywheel. Under normal conditions, this happens quickly and is followed by the starter rotating. If nothing follows the click, the solenoid moves the pinion gear, but did not allow power to flow to the other components. The grinding sound is coming from the area where the starter pinion gear engages the engine's flywheel. When this happens, the gears have lost positive contact with each other and grind. Loose mounting hardware or improper installation can cause this. Another cause is a weak solenoid not fully moving the pinion gear out into the flywheel. The solenoid is likely the issue when the starter motor spins freely. The solenoid is defective, but the relay is closing, allowing the power to flow to the internal starter components, but does not have enough electromagnetic force to move the pinion gear forward. When you see or smell smoke, it's normally a result of a short circuit within the brushes, stator, or armature. The wiring inside the starter acts as a conduit for power to flow, and if damaged or defective, may allow the power to flow to the body of the starter housing or another unintended component. This is referred to as a short circuit. At the point of the short, an arc of electricity occurs and generates an extreme high temperature. These temperatures are hot enough to melt and burn insulation on the wiring and windings. This is what you see and smell. To correct most starter issues, the starter will need replaced. Here are the basic steps in that process. Follow all safety rules for working with lead-acid batteries, electricity, and lifting a vehicle. Starters can be very heavy. Use protective gear for your hands and eyes at all times. Locate the battery and unhook the negative terminal. Secure the negative cable away from the battery. Locate the starter for removal. In some models, access is possible from under the hood, but for most others, it will have to be from underneath. Again, if lifting the vehicle, be careful to read and follow all safety precautions. Note and mark each starter wire and their locations. Unhook the wires from the starter and secure them out of the way. Remove the starter retaining hardware and take the starter from the car. Place the defective starter next to the new one to ensure they are compatible. Some new starters may not look exactly the same as the original equipment starters, but mounting holes, pinion gear, and wire terminals should be the same. Also inspect the new starter to ensure it's not damaged in any way. Check for defective or damaged housing, pinion gear, threads, or loose terminal posts. Careful not to damage the new starter or terminals. Move it back into the vehicle and secure it with the mounting hardware. Torque the fasteners to the manufacturer's specification. Reconnect the starter wires and replace any other components that you had to remove. Return the vehicle to the ground and reconnect the battery. What's it going to cost me? Data shows the average parts and labor charge for starter replacement in 2019 was around $450. Parts alone cost $350 and the labor was $100. The cost of parts can vary widely and they come in 3 different types: new, remanufactured, and salvaged. New costs the most and are manufactured with all new material. New parts come with a warranty. Remanufactured parts cost a little less and contain material that has been reworked to new specifications. The last type of part is a salvage part from another vehicle. Salvage parts are still operational but may have a shorter life. Ask your repair shop what kind of parts they're using for you. Are you wondering how a repair shop estimates labor time? They use a labor hour guide. These guides are universally accepted in the car repair industry. Shops use the time listed regardless of how long the mechanic actually spent on the job.
Can I fix it myself? Is it a DIY project for me? It depends on the challenge you want to take on. Do you have the skill or willingness to learn how? Do you have the hand tools, space, and time? Replacing a starter is not a hard job, but the starter location in your vehicle makes it hard to access. The vehicle may need to be placed on a lift or jack stands, requiring you to work from underneath the vehicle. Do you have the proper size wrenches, sockets, and screwdrivers to complete the task? If you find the time, do you have a way to get around until you finish the job? What about those broken bolts or items that get damaged along the way? These are things you should consider before you start. Will you take on this DIY project? If so, check out the list in the description below for links to all the tools and parts you may need. To see more issues that you may want to learn about, subscribe, and visit my channel.